Hi friends, welcome back to my channel. It's Megan and happy Groundhog Day. Groundhog Day is interesting in that we are telling the weather or the seasonal change based on how a groundhog reacts when he comes out of the ground. If he sees his shadow, that means we're going to experience 6 more weeks of wintry weather, and if he does not see his shadow, then that means that spring is right around the corner. So if he does see his shadow, we are going to recommend some backlog books and winter books, so books that are comfortable to read during the winter time. And if he does not see a shadow, I have some new releases / coming soon books to keep an eye out for. So this is going to be an interesting video because it's going to be going one of 2 ways depending on how today's plays out with the groundhog. So I do have 2 options for you to choose from. You can go to this time frame if you would like to see my recommendations on what to read if the groundhog did see his shadow, or you can go to this time frame to read my recommendations or watch my recommendations for what to read if the groundhog did not see its shadow, or you can just watch the whole video if you're super interested. But without further ado, let's jump into it. We're gonna start with the what to do if the groundhog sees his shadow. So kicking it off with some wintry recommendations or books that have been out for at least 2 years. Well, maybe not 2 years, but they've been out for longer than 2022. So one of the main books I always recommend during the winter time is King Arthur retellings. I don't know why, they just absolutely give me winter vibes. I think that they are so perfect to read during the winter time. I don't know if it's the lore side of things or if it's what era they're from side of things, but for whatever reason King Arthur just calls to wintertime for me. So I have 3 King Arthur recommendations here for you. First up, we have Once and Future, which is a gender-bent sci-fi LGBTQIA plus community representation time-traveling King Arthur retelling. It is absolutely so much fun. We start in this space colony where there is a historical rendition of King Arthur's suit, and I believe, if I remember correctly, our main character puts the suit on and it has her travel back in time. I forget the exact logistics of it. It's been a hot second since I read this, but it is a lot of fun, and it's a duology, which is still quite fun to follow along with. Next up is the Guinevere Deception, which is also a gender-bent King Arthur retelling, or not really gender-bent, but instead of focusing on King Arthur, we're focusing on Guinevere. And in this I almost said episode. In this edition of this King Arthur retelling, the Guinevere that we are following is actually a body double, so we're following her replacement because the actual Guinevere was murdered a while ago. So we are following the person standing in as Guinevere, which is so much fun. It has one of the coolest magic systems I've ever read, and I really enjoyed it. You can tell by the tabs here how much I loved it. And I can't believe I haven't read the next 2 in the trilogy yet. That's mind-boggling to me. And then the final King Arthur retelling I have as a recommendation for you is, of course, Legendborn, my favorite. I forget if this was my favorite of 2021 or 2022. Oh, 2021, because we're in 23 now, so I just did my recommendations or top 10 for 22. This was my favorite book of 2021. It is a Black Girl Magic King Arthur retelling in which we are following Bree, who is attending college, and while she is there, she comes across a secret society and learns things that she's not necessarily supposed to see. And there's so many fun characters in this. The magic is incredible. I really love the intertwining of not only the King Arthur lore but also the traditional root magic of Bree's heritage, which was really cool. So I loved this book, and I can't wait to read Bloodmarked. Another recommendation for wintertime, you can't tell what the book is just by this cover. I have alternate covers on here, but 3 Dark Crowns is a really fun series in which we are following 3 triplets who are born under the same magic, or not magic, but in the same, like, they grow up together is what I'm trying to say. So they grow up and I think around the age of like 6 or 7 they are torn apart and raised in 3 separate like realms or societies. There's the people who have poison magic, the people who have animal magic, and the people who have like elemental naturey magic. Well, I guess nature falls more under the animal, so like the naturey animal, and then the elemental, so like fire, lightning, rain, wind, and then the poisoners who not only can concoct poisons but they gain an intolerance to poison. So we have these 3 separate like factions, and each sister is raised in their own like magic system, and once they reach a certain age they have to fight to the death for the crown. So super intense. I had a lot of fun reading this series. The romances and characters will pull your heartstrings in so many different ways. It was so hard for me to figure out who to like love and root for. I really enjoyed all the characters, so this series was a lot of fun. Another great wintry time is to read like mythology books. So my recommendation for that is Circe. For whatever reason, like the heavier fantasy or the more like lyrical fantasy, like Circe by Madeline Miller, or even thinking about like Addie LaRue, even like that lyrical writing really calls to me during the winter time. Circe is the story of Circe from Greek mythology. It's a heavier read, but it is really good if you enjoy Greek mythology, and I really enjoy Madeline Miller's work. I can't wait to read more of it, but Circe is one I would definitely recommend for wintertime. Next recommendation is Sky in the Deep. This is a Viking fantasy novel in which we are following, oh gosh, what's her name? Aelin, I think. Yeah, it's E-E-L-Y-N. So I think I read it in my head as Aelin when I read the book, so I'm just gonna say Aelin. She is the daughter of like the head of this Viking clan, and when she is in battle one day, she sees the impossible. Her brother fighting with their enemies on the opposite side of the war, but the impossible part is that this brother died 5 years ago. So she comes to find out a lot of things, and she is kind of taken in by the enemy side against her will. It is so good. Enemies to lovers. Absolutely adored this book. Highly, highly recommend. There is a second book, The Girl Fell Out of the Sea or something like that. It's a companion novel to this book, but honestly, I believe this book could stand on its own, and I personally prefer it that way, to be honest. I mean, I will always take more of these characters, but the companion follow like different characters and I didn't quite like them as much, so highly recommend Sky in the Deep. And my final recommendation for If the Groundhog Sees His Shadow is Sorcery of Thorns. This goes back to that lyrical like fantasy writing. This, Strange the Dreamer, The Starless Sky, or The Starless Sea, not The Starless Sky, all books I would definitely recommend for this wintry time. I went ahead and picked Sorcery of Thorns because the companion novel short story to this book just recently released. Mysteries of Thorn Manor, I believe is the name of it. So I definitely recommend Sorcery of Thorns. In this book we are following a young female who is tasked with being part of the library that like keeps track of these grimoires, until one day a grimoire escapes and she is blamed for like releasing it even though she did not do so, and she ends up like teaming up with her mortal enemy to like prove that she was not in the wrong. And the romance is so cute in this, and the like just the action and plot is so fun as well. So this is definitely one to pick up for winter as well. Moving on to what to read if the groundhog did not see his shadow, which means early spring right around the corner. I have some coming up soon / new releases for you. I don't know why I'm talking like a robot. But I have 5 books to share with you that are coming soon, and I'm very excited about them. I only know little snippets of these, but I think that they are going to be great releases, and I'm personally going to be picking them up. So first we have 7 Faceless Saints. This was brought to my attention by my favorite author, Nikki Palpretto, who wrote Crown of Feathers. I'm sure you guys, if you follow my channel, you've heard her name many times. But she recommended this one. She claims like it's thrilling and heart-gripping and all those good things, and when I looked into the synopsis of it, I did think that it sounded really good. And it's essentially this society where saints yield power like unjustly, like they have an absorbent amount of power that they should just not have. And after our main character's father is killed, she makes it her mission to like corrupt the system and take down this power. So I think it sounds super interesting, and I'm really looking forward to reading this one. Next up is a romance. It is by Tessa Bailey. I have not read any Tessa Bailey books yet, but I have so many on my physical TBR. I have the Hook, Line, Sinker, It Happened One Summer duology, and then I also have the trilogy of Fix Her Up or Tools of Engagement. I forget what the like actual trilogy name is, but this is a new series starting with Secretly Yours, in which we are following a professor and his neighbor. They actually knew each other when they were younger, so this is second chance romance, and it's also Grumpy Sunshine, which I'm super excited about, and it just sounds super cute. I can't wait to read this one. It's gonna be great for like romance season, like Valentine's Day-ish time, so I'm really looking forward to this one. Next up we have Rosewood, which sounds so fun. It's a YA contemporary romance in which we are following a young girl who ends up attending a summer camp, and at this summer camp they are being like scouted for a Bridgerton-esque TV show, and she is like having that inner conflict of sticking with her head and like making it through this summer camp and like getting scouted properly, and like also her heart, where she starts to fall for one of the fellow campers. And it sounds so cute, it sounds right up my alley, and I cannot wait for it. Number 4 is Lies We Sing to the Sea, which sounds incredible. It's a like Greek mythology-esque retelling, specifically of the Odyssey, and it is a sapphic retelling, so it just sounds like a really fun time, sounds really cool, looking forward to it. And number 5 is Flower Heart. All I know about this one is this little tidbit. It is a cottage core fantasy. Honestly, between that little tidbit and this cover, all I need to know, it sounds like such a heartwarming, cozy fantasy, and that sounds perfect for this upcoming season. So I'm really looking forward to that one as well. So let me know which recommendations you watched. We'll see where the Groundhog goes today, and let me know if any of these are on your TBR list, or if you might be picking up some of the wintry recommendations. But that is all for today. I hope you guys enjoyed this kind of like choose your own storyline video, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye friends.